Hello ladies and gents, this is another video brought to you by Ant Terrarium. This is a first for me. I've never built a terrarium before, so I thought I'd give it a try for my Polyrhachis ants. I'm going to talk you through how I did it. If you watch my other video about my Polyrhachis dives, you'll see that the outworld's quite small. So I decided that I wanted something bigger, and as you can see from this video, they're expanding in numbers a lot quicker than I expected. And this isn't when they're all fully out either. I haven't got any idea how many workers I've got, but it's got to be numbering a couple of hundred now for sure. So I decided they need something bigger, and as they like to make their nests on the surface and they like naturalistic setups, I thought terrarium. So I looked at YouTube, looked around to see what there was, watched how to do it, got other people's ideas. Well, not ideas is the wrong word, but got other people's videos of how they did it, and decided to try it myself. But one thing I did notice when I was looking is that there was none about ants themselves, making terrariums specifically for ants. There's loads about like dart frogs and lizards and stuff like that, but nothing that's a naturalistic active setup for ants. So I thought I'd give it a go, and here's my video about it. As always, the first thing I need to look at was the climate and what kind of plants and stuff would thrive in that environment, because polys need quite high humidity and around 30 degrees, so I needed plants that would live in that kind of climate. So obviously a kind of tropical plants, maybe a rainforest style, would work. The next thing I need to do was look for tanks. Now every terrarium that I could find online had too many holes in it and too much of an escape risk, so I found this chap online. I told him what dimensions I wanted and what holes I wanted, size, air vents, everything like that, and then he took it in and he built it, and I came out with this. I got 3 air vents in the top that he put mesh over for me. In hindsight, I'd get these a bit bigger, because what I'm finding is it mists up quite badly, and if I'm going to do some recording I have to like clear the screen first, which isn't ideal. So next time I'd get bigger vents. I asked a glass lip to go around the top of the tank, so if the side barrier fails, then they've got to get past the lips, which has got a barrier on it as well, which is harder for them to cross. So if I notice them getting through the side barrier, there's a second line of defense, which means I can see it before they get out. I can apply a new barrier and makes that extra little bit more safe. And as you've seen before, it's got a glass lid, so this is the final line of defense to stop the ants getting out. I always like to go with lids and keep them self-contained, so if they do start to escape, they're not going to be running around my ant room. And if they do get out and start running around the house, I'm going to have one unhappy wife. And you know what they say, happy wife, happy life. Then I asked for some holes in the sides of the tanks, only one either side. This is so I can put my temperature probe in, so I can regulate the temperature. And as I've told you guys before, regulating your temperature and getting the climate right is key to a successful colony. Now I can't remember for the life of me what size these holes are, but I did measure the size of my most common used tubes, so I could get the size right, so they just slot in without any need to secure them or any need of adapters. The only thing I don't like about this tank is the slight gap you can see here in the corner from the lips, but other than that it's pretty spot on. And I'm not overly concerned that any ants are going to get out. All in all, I'm really happy with this tank, and I definitely recommend Custom Aquario again. And I'll probably use them again. I won't probably use them, I will use them again when I want to build some more outworlds out of glass, because they're really good builds, and not only that, the customability is awesome. And believe it or not, this tank only cost me £110, I think it was, so it was a bargain compared to the small outworld I got from Ant Store in Germany, which cost me £100 plus postage. It's just a bargain, this. But enough about that. I'll leave a link in my description if you want to check out his Facebook page. Like just about everybody else in the world, I hate cleaning, but I had to clean this off. So I used antiseptic wipes to clean it, then I used some soapy water so I don't get any poison inside of it. Then I wiped it down with some water to get rid of the soapy stuff, and then I dried it all off. Now that's over with, let's go to the fun stuff, the building. I kind of winged it with this one. I've watched so many videos on substrate that I just kind of like took what I thought was good ideas from each video and kind of mashed it together to make my own substrate. And I'll talk through what I've got now. Cocoa fibre seems to be like the most common base that most people use for the soil composite, so I used that. It holds on to moisture, which is great for this climate. And then got some sphagnum moss, if I've said that right, probably not. That also keeps it nice and light and stops it compacting too much. I added some tree bark so the wood lice and stuff like that had something to eat off, and also help that slow release of nutrients into the soil, and leaf litter for the same reason. The big black bag at the top isn't part of the soil composite, but it'll become apparent what that is shortly. Substrate making time. Right, I added some mineral water to the cocoa fibre to break it up. Mineral water is important because obviously the chemicals and stuff like that, you don't get it in mineral water. I added the sphagnum moss, breaking it up so it's not big clumps of it, because that's not good for the soil. Did the same with the leaf litter, and then added some sand to help with drainage and stuff, give it some consistency, and then I added the wood bark. Just about every video I watched said that you need some kind of drainage layer. Lucky enough for me, I had some stones in the garden, as you can see here, and I just cleaned them off, and then I put them in the tank. Now it's important because you need a drainage layer, because if you don't, your water could get where am I coming from? Your soil can get waterlogged, and it will make your plants sit in waterlogged soil, which will rot the roots, which isn't good. It also gives a moisture gradient, which is great as well, in case your ants are diggers, but polys aren't. To clean the gravel, all I did was soapy water, then rinse it off, and then just stick it in the tank. You do need some kind of porous layer to stop the soil going into your drainage layer. So I picked this one up off the eBay, I think it was, where I got most of my stuff, in all fairness. Cut it to size and then just stuck it in. It doesn't really matter what you're building your terrarium for or the environment, but you're always going to need around 1.5 to 2 inches for your drainage layer. I noticed some people, but not all people, use cut charcoal. Now, one bloke, I can't remember who it was for the life of me, he did say that it's good for like filtering the water as it travels through your substrates, and it also helps stop it from smelling and stop it going stagnant in your drainage layer, which is good. So I thought better have it than not. What you're looking for is activated charcoal. Now you can get loads of different variants, but this is from cocoa husks. Now back to my trusty ruler. As you can see, I've only got maybe 1 inch or so substrate in the front of my tank. There's a lot more at the back, but I'll go into that later on when I'm doing the build. This really depends on what kind of ants you're using. Now I was very conscious that my ants, which are the polys that I'm putting in here, they don't dig very much, if at all, but they need height. So I want to optimize the amount of height in the tank. So I only made a relatively thin substrate, but yet again, if you're building it for digging ants, you're going to need a lot more substrate than what I'm using. Now the fun part, designing it. Now, as you can tell from this video, I chopped and changed something fierce. I mean, I couldn't make my mind up. I had to even call the wife in for some backup to give me an idea, so I ended up stopping the video and showed the finished product. Well, I hope you guys like the finished product. I'm going to talk more about the plants and stuff in the second part of this video. This is dragging on for 8 minutes now, so I don't want you all to die of boredom listening to my Dorset tones. So please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you on the second part of this video. Bye-bye.